Hello everybody, this is the week 6 overview for History 310. A lot to cover this week. We're going to be spanning 4 different chapters in Rawls and Bean. So I wanted to start with the end of chapter 13 and then we'll go forward from there. So in chapter 13 you learned a little bit about Theodore Judah and the Big Four. You learned about how the railroad was being built. And now what you're going to be hearing about, or what you'll be reading about, is how the railroad got its land and how it got its money. And one of the things I'm going to be asking you to consider is what were the motivations for the government to be so generous at a time when it really wasn't popular to do so. This was not a time when the government was expected to be terribly active in anything except running the Civil War at that particular time and maybe Reconstruction after that. So you probably want to take a look at that. You'll want to consider how the state and the country would have been different if the railroad had not been built, and how our geography would have played a big role in that. We've already established that California has a pretty unique geographic set of circumstances. In chapter 14, you begin to see popular views of the railroad changing, particularly after the Muscle Slough incident in 1880. And you get to see the depiction of the railroad as an octopus. That's a really good metaphor, I think, for what the railroad did and what it was up to. And a lot of people found that objectionable. Okay, so you'll be looking at that. In chapter 15, you'll be looking at a lot of the anti-Chinese sentiment. You'll be hearing about Dennis Carney, the Working Men's Party of California, and the idea that the Chinese must go. You'll see who took the side of the Chinese at a time, again, when it wasn't popular to do so. And then chapter 15 gets into the rewriting of the California State Constitution. Now, that convention started off with great intentions. You had a lot of people there saying, all right, we've really got to stick it to the SP. We've got to regulate them. We've got to cut them down to size. And then, unfortunately, for the reform spirit, it really turned out to be kind of a lukewarm document. Wasn't very effective, except in really scaring a lot of people about the Chinese. So there's going to be some imagery there that you'll want to take a look at, and there will be some references to what actually came out of that. And then in chapter 16, we're going to be hearing about the wine and the wheat industries in California. Some of you may know about the wine industry, either firsthand or maybe you've just heard about it. The wheat industry, it's not something that we're known for as much as, say, Kansas, but we do promote or produce a great amount of wheat in the United States, or in California, rather. Then you'll be reading an excerpt from a muckraking novel called The Octopus. Again, coming back to this metaphor of the railroad, and one of the discussion questions I'll be asking you is how effective is that? Is this dramatic fiction, or is it really good muckraking? So I'm very interested in knowing what you have to say about that. If you have any questions, please be in touch with me. Happy reading.